morning on day 6, leaving Clover, Wisconsin, heading up to St. Cloud, Minnesota. Sunny and warm. A couple of things today. I say that every morning, but a couple of things to see today. Country roads, I think, for the most part. I'll make a game day decision about going through Minneapolis to see one point of interest. Just see how the traffic is and see how I feel. And gonna get to it.
I took I-39 north for the short ride to downtown Wausau, where I was going to swing by the Visitor Center to become a member of the 45 by 90 Club. Technically, you're supposed to visit this geographical landmark at the exact center of the Northwestern Hemisphere first, and then sign the book at the Visitor Center and get your commemorative coin. That would have been a lot of backtracking for me, and the staff graciously allowed my deviation from the normal practice. I had an uneventful ride on I-94 west towards the Twin Cities, with a few slowdowns for road work. I turned south at St. Paul and headed to a relic of World War II. The former Gopher Ordnance Works was built in 1943 but only produced smokeless powder for our armed forces in 1945. After the war, there was no need for the facility, and it closed in October. The road into the main site appeared publicly accessible on Google Maps, but when I arrived I found a locked gate, so I got a bird's eye view instead. I'd wanted to see the Mary Tyler Moore statue in downtown Minneapolis, but it looked like gridlock traffic, so I went around the city. Unfortunately, there was a complete road closure for construction on I-94 between Minneapolis and St. Cloud, and the detour was a real hassle. The heat, stop-and-go traffic, and fatigue pushed me close to my breaking point, and I was thoroughly spent when I finally got to St. Cloud.
Good morning on day 7. Happy 4th of July. Departing from St. Cloud, Minnesota, heading up to Grand Forks, North Dakota, avoiding the interstate for probably 90% of it. Not really too much to see along the way. A bit muggy, cloudy already. Possibly some rain in the forecast, but I'm really hoping today is the day that the heat finally breaks. I know I've said that, but I'm hoping. Can't have another day like yesterday. Almost broke me with that heat, humidity, and traffic and detours. So let's get to it.
After I left St. Cloud, I found myself racing freight trains throughout the morning. At 9:42 a.m. local time, it was finally cool enough for me to close the vents on my helmet. I took secondary roads over to I-29 and stopped in Fargo at the Visitor Center. They had a nice walk of fame with concrete impressions from various visitors to the city over the years. Inside the visitor center was the actual wood chipper used in the movie Fargo, along with other memorabilia. After another hour of riding, I was in Grand Forks for the evening. It was a much-needed short and easy day. Tomorrow, more Cold War history and a run for the border.
Good morning on day 8, leaving Grand Forks, North Dakota, hitting one or two Cold War historical sites in North Dakota, and crossing into Canada. We just missed the Harley crew who roared out of here, and nice cooler temperatures should be this way for at least the next several days into Canada. That's about it. Let's get to it.
First up was a quick stop at the semi-ghost town of Ardagh, population 67, to see their old grain elevator. Next was a trip to a mostly forgotten chapter of Cold War history, the Stanley R. Michelson Safeguard Complex, formerly the linchpin of our Safeguard anti-ballistic missile program. Back in the 1950s, the U.S. was desperately seeking ways to defend our intercontinental ballistic missiles, or ICBMs, against Soviet ICBMs. The Michelson Complex was going to be one of several similar complexes, but was the only one built. It consisted of 5 distinct sites: the missile site radar with Spartan and Sprint nuclear-tipped missiles in Nakoma, and 4 remote Sprint launch, or RSL sites, between 10 and 20 miles away. This was RSL-3, now privately owned and open for tours. RSL-3 and rode south for 30 minutes to the missile site radar, also known as the Pyramid of North Dakota. I started to see it from at least 6 miles away. The Michelson complex cost approximately $6 billion at the time and was deactivated in 1976, after less than a year of operation. The Spring Creek Hutterite colony of Forbes purchased the site in 2012 for $530,000, and the Cavalier County Job Development Authority purchased part of the site from them in 2017. I backtracked north and headed to the port of entry at the International Peace Garden. After providing the correct answers to questions about weapons, tobacco and alcohol products, and pepper spray, I rode into the Great White North and onto some terrible secondary roads. I was finding plenty of bugs, but no gas stations. Fortunately, I found one before things got too critical. A little more riding and I was at my hotel in Carlisle. which featured a frontage road with plenty of loose gravel. Tomorrow, I make a push across the prairie.
Good morning from Canada, eh? Last time I'll do that, but I had to do it at least once. Start of day 9, leaving Carlisle, Saskatchewan, heading to the RCMP Heritage Center, a big museum for the RCMP, and then heading up to Swift Current. Short day, nice day to recover from the long day yesterday, and hopefully you'll find more plentiful gas stations, although I should only need one in Regina and then one in Swift Current. I should be good to go. Much cooler today, should be cooler throughout the day, which makes for a nice ride. So here we go.
I successfully navigated the gravel road without any problems and settled in for an uneventful 2-hour ride to the bigger city of Regina. The Heritage Center for the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, or RCMP as it's commonly known, is a really great museum for anyone interested in law enforcement or history. After looking at the many exhibits inside, I hopped on the tram for a tour of their training academy, known as the Depot Division. The sky was looking very dark, and it started pouring right after I rode away from the Heritage Center. And this was the wide open prairie with nowhere to take shelter. Robert Frost famously said, "The best way out is always through," but I was soon doubting his wisdom. After waving goodbye to the rain, I was happy to see only roadwork and sunshine ahead. Today I was reminded that low mileage days aren't always easy days.
Good morning. On day 10, we're into double digits, leaving Swift Current, Saskatchewan, and heading over to Canmore, which I believe is in Alberta, just outside of Banff. Have to add that extra F. Long day today, almost 400 miles, but no planned sightseeing along the way, which should expedite things. Hope for good weather. Looks to be good up until probably getting closer to Canmore with a 30% chance of rain. Let's hope it's better than that deluge yesterday afternoon. And that's about it. Check out the hotel here and be on our way.
After about an hour and a half on the Trans-Canada Highway, I left Saskatchewan and crossed into Alberta. In the town of Brooks, I enjoyed my first Tim Hortons grilled cheese sandwich on this trip. As I approached Calgary, I rode through a brief shower, but skirted the heavy stuff as the storm continued to move away from the city. I finally reached the end of the prairie and was soon riding between the mountains towards Canmore. I couldn't check into my Airbnb room yet, so I watched the Canmore Fire Department training around the corner for a little while. It was a long day on the bike, but I'd arrived at some spectacular scenery. Tomorrow, into the Canadian Rockies.